So I had, at a very early age in my career, was introduced to argon, and just curiosity gets the better of you, and you start walking around the place and asking, what's this, what do you guys do? And come to find out a lot of the communication technology, the telecommunication technology they had was far superior to anything that I had seen. I didn't really have a need for it then in that particular capacity, but I had always heard of this thing called the TerraGrid and this huge pipe that could move data from LA to Chicago. So you put that in your memory bank and you go on. Now flash forward to, I was working with a media company, and all of a sudden I'm trying to transfer a file from Seattle to Chicago to LA and getting quotes from the telco space and saying this doesn't work for me, and I know there's better out there because I've seen it. So I went out to Argonne and said, you know, I'm just making the assumption you're not using this pipe 24/7, 365, so if I wrote you a check, could I use it? And our idea was to build actually a smaller version of the Lambda Rail. That's how the whole thing started. We'd raised money. We initiated contact with the research community to help us build a model, and that's when the Lambda Rail opportunity came to us, and we immediately shifted focus that only a small startup can do, and raised more money and said we'd like to purchase part of the Lambda Rail.
When Mike came to me with the idea of Darkstrand, which was much smaller than what it is today, which was to leverage the research community to build a smaller scale replica of the National Lambda Rail that we could use for workflow across major cities like Seattle to San Francisco to LA to Chicago to New York and maybe down to Raleigh or somewhere like that, but just a pretty sparse backbone. Immediately I saw the logic behind it and the opportunity, because although I hadn't worked heavily with media like he had, which is where the idea had came from, my experience with major manufacturers like Caterpillar and Harley and John Deere and Whirlpool and corporations like that showed me that being able to move data at this speed, this capacity, was a real stopper for them. It's a real bottleneck. They can't do it today.